I want to talk today about the NHS and how I believe that some parts of it is broken. I've always used the line, the NHS is broken. What I want to change that to is some parts are broken and seriously broken, and some parts are actually, they're doing the best they can. Now, I'm going to go on my personal experience because I'm going through it at the moment with my mum in hospital. So please bear with me. I'm going to try and shorten this story on as much as I can because it's going back to the beginning of September. Beginning of September, my mum was admitted to hospital due to a couple of falls at home. After x-rays, etc., there was no broken bones. Her legs had just given way, and they weren't working as they should, really. So anyway, that first experience in that first hospital was not great. The hospital was dirty. There was not much communication. No one seemed to know what was going on. You'd ask one and, oh, well, I don't know. And then they'd try and find someone who did know, and they really didn't know either. This went on for 2 weeks. There was a lot of in between, but I'm trying to shorten it down. Then she got discharged because she was in a main general hospital. She got discharged to a rehab hospital where she went with other elderly people to get rehab. So even though it was a hospital, it was mainly rehab, getting you to use your legs again or your arms, whatever was, the problem. So she had physio every day, and it was great. It was very clean. The staff were lovely. But again, it was a case of, oh, well, I don't know, I'll find out. And then, oh, well, no, they don't know either. So we'll find out. A lot of that. Again, long story, but. And then 7 weeks, excuse me, no, 5 weeks after being in there, I went in one morning and mum, her speech was very slurred, as if she'd been drinking. It was slurred. She was very confused. She didn't even call me by my name. Normally when I was going in every morning and seeing her, it was like, oh, hi, Kathy. How are you doing? Oh, my God, I'm glad you're here. And we'd just chat from there, like a mother and daughter does. But this particular morning, she was just like, she looked at me and she was like, oh, hi. And I knew straight away, but she was slurring as well. So I knew straight away that something was wrong. So I called the doctor in and I said, there's something wrong with my mother. How has no one seen this? And apparently no one had seen it. They'd not noticed it that morning. Well, how have you not noticed that? But anyway, that was a minor issue compared to everything else that we'd already been through. So then the doctor was like, okay, she gave her a test. She was doing tests with her to make sure it wasn't a stroke or anything that happened. She'd done all the tests that she needed to do, bloods, blah blah blah. No stroke. And she said, I don't think this is a stroke. She said, but she needs to go to the hospital, she said, to get checked for anything else, because she may have a UTI, which is causing the confusion and, can cause other problems. So anyway, and I was like, okay, and what about her bed here? Is she going to go and have these blood tests, get checked out, and then come back? Oh, yes, she said. So anyway, mum gets taken down in the hospital transport to the general hospital, but the other one, because I said she's not going back to that first one. That's horrendous. It's filthy. No one knows anything that's going on. I do not believe it's a well-run hospital, and I have my reasons, by the way. It's already under investigation for deaths of other patients, but that's another story, okay? So she goes off to this other hospital that has a very good reputation. And she gets taken to A&E, and she's waiting for a doctor to come and, do samples, etc., etc. This was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this was a couple of weeks ago. No. And then it was a case of, we kept phoning up, what's happening? Oh, she's seeing a doctor. The other hospital said, we haven't heard anything back. We don't know. We'll let you know. So there was no communication between this general hospital and the hospital she was actually a patient at, as an inpatient getting rehab. There was no communication. And every time she went to a different hospital, we had to tell them the same story, because again, there was no communication. I said to I went down to the A&E in the general hospital, and I said, has any communication come from the hospital she's a patient at? Well, yes, some of it. I said, do you know she needs regular changing? Well, no. I said, she has got incontinence. And this is due to the NHS as well, because about 8 years ago, she had a prolapsed womb. She had to have the womb taken out. And while they were taking it out, they nicked her bladder. So now she has incontinence, but not on a big scale. It's a small scale, but she needs her pads changed all the time because she will leak. Now, no one seems to, every time she's moved hospitals, no one seems to know this. There's just, either they're not writing it down on the notes, they're not reading the notes properly. I don't know what's going on, but there's no communication. So anyway, I get to the A&E and I'm saying, my mum is wet. She hasn't been changed since 1 o'clock. It is now 8 o'clock at night. She's wet. So bless their hearts, in this A&E unit, they were straight on it. They were like, right, get some pads. They had to change the bedding because it was all soaking wet, because she'd just been left there. It's A&E, just left there. But I did notice that Mum had been left for a long time in this cubicle in A&E, and it's not until we turned up as a family that things get done. And this is my concern with the NHS, is if the elderly are on their own with no family around them, they get neglected. This is what I was seeing in every hospital. If there's no family, it's complete silence, and they might check on them every few hours. Of course they do, but it's not hands-on how it should be with care. So that was my first concern. Then obviously Mum gets discharged from the A&E and goes on to a ward. She was there for about 4 days. They finally got her care package in place so she could come home. I'm going to have to do a part 2 to this. So she could come home. There's carers that are going to come in every day and sort her. She can go home, but she's still very weak on her knees. She can stand up, but she can't seem to walk forward. But I'm going to do a part 2, because this is where it gets really interesting. So please like, share and comment on this, and also give me a follow if you want to see the next part. So part 2 coming up.